ओम शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वंदे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. We have seen the background information mostly about this Chatusutri, popularly known as Brahma Sutra Chatusutri, though it is the first four sutras of Shariraka Mimamsa Shastra by Badarayana Vyas. And then in the last class, we have seen the opening two sentences. And today I revise that opening two sentences before proceeding further. युष्मद् अस्मत् प्रत्यय गोचरयोः विषय विषयिणोः तम प्रकाशवत् विरुद्ध स्वभावयोः इतरेतर भाव अनुपपत्तौ सिद्धायां तद्धर्माणाम् अपि सुतराम् इतरेतर भाव अनुपपत्ति इति अतः अस्मत् प्रत्यय गोचरे विषयिणि चिदात्मके युष्मत् प्रत्यय गोचरस्य विषयस्य तद्धर्माणां च अध्यासः तद्विपरेण विषयिणा तद्धर्माणां च विषये अध्यासः मिथ्या इति भवितुं युक्तम्. This is to be broken like that. Yushmat pratyaya gocharasya. When we utter Yushmat is the generic term for you. We know the term Tvam, but the root term is Yushmat. So Yushmat means you. Pratyaya means when the word Yushmat is uttered, what is the consciousness arises in us? What is the consciousness arises in us? Gocharayo, available to that consciousness. Available to the consciousness which arises in us after uttering the word you. That is an object, Vishaya. When we say you, it is an object. And here we explained last time that instead of idam or this or that, the word you is used only to show a total opposition with the word I. I and it, I and that would not have appeared so contradictory as I and you. So here actually the meaning is like it or that. It or that is an object. But for an object here the word used is you, only to feel the total opposition with I. And then what appears is an object. On the other hand, when I utter the word I, asmat is the root word of I, we, the root word is asmat. So when we utter the word I, a consciousness arises. And that what is available to that consciousness is the subject, the knower, the doer, the enjoyer, the knower. So when I say I am the knower, you are the object. I am the knower, you are the object before me. I hope this is now absolutely clear. Tama prakashavat viruddha svabhavayoho. They are opposed to each other in their nature, just like darkness and light. Darkness means without light. The object is without light. The subject throws its light upon the object and comprehends it. I know this table. Table does not know me. So This table is an object while I am the subject, and so they are totally opposite in nature. Itaretara bhav anupapatto siddhaya. It is automatically established that they cannot be changed. Bhava means the nature. I cannot have the nature of this table. This table cannot have the nature of I. It's so very clear. Itara bhav, my getting the nature of this table or the tables getting the nature of me is anupapatto. No logic can apply here. No logic can make my nature appearing as table's nature, or table's nature appearing as my nature. Tad dharmanam api. So my characteristic, dharma means characteristics. Dharma is not religion here. Huh? Dharma means characteristics. So my characteristics and table's characteristics, sutaram, absolutely cannot be exchanged. My nature cannot be table's nature cannot be my nature. My characteristics cannot be table's characteristics cannot be my characteristics. Iti atah, therefore, asmat pratyay gochare vishayini chidatmake, that which is available to the perception I, which is the subject, which is of the nature of consciousness. Which is of the nature of consciousness, the subject. On that, Yushmat Pratyay Gocharasya Vishayasya, the object which is denoted by the word you, let us break it here. Vishayasya Adhyasaha, superimposition is the new word here. Superimposition means in our consciousness, one thing covering the other is called superimposition. For example, the rope, instead of the rope, we see the snake. Actually, nothing has happened to the rope. But my awareness of the rope has taken a holiday, and it is replaced by my awareness of a snake. So my awareness of a snake has superimposed itself upon the rope, my awareness of the rope. That is called superimposition. One thing covering, hiding the other thing. So in my consciousness, the awareness of a snake has covered the awareness of the rope, because I am not aware of the rope anymore. Now, such a thing happening between the object and the subject is impossible. How can object cover the consciousness of I? How can the consciousness of object cover the consciousness of I? So it is mithya iti bhavitum yuktam. Such a superimposition is false. If somebody says such a superimposition is there, we shall say it is false, unreal. It is not real because it cannot happen. Now some additional points. Tad dharmanam cha. That means the characteristics of the object being superimposed on the characteristics of the subject in my consciousness. My consciousness about myself has my consciousness about my characteristics cannot get covered by my consciousness about the characteristics of the object. Clear? And opposite to that, on the other side, my consciousness about myself cannot cover my consciousness about the object. My consciousness about myself cannot hide or cover my consciousness about the object. And in addition, my consciousness about my characteristics, my consciousness about my characteristics cannot cover my consciousness about the characteristics of the object. Is it clear now? If somebody talks of such a superimposition, we shall say it is false or unreal. It cannot happen logically. No method of logic, no system of logic can explain such a superimposition. It has to be unreal, false. That is the first sentence. Clear? Tathapi, and yet, see the fact of our life, fact of our experience. This is the truth and logic associated with that truth. And yet, what is the fact of our experience? What is the fact of our behavior? What is the fact we learn from our natural behavior? Naisargikoyam loka vyavahara. Loka vyavahara, people's behavior, including myself. People's behavior, natural people's behavior. From that what we can see, and yet it is just the thing happening. That consciousness of I is getting covered with consciousness of the object. What is the object here? My body, my mind. They are matter. They are you. They are not I. My body is it, that. But here, as we said, for showing the total opposition, this has been termed as you. So my body, which is you, which is matter, which is not light, which has no consciousness, my body, my mind, my indriyas, which have no consciousness, but my consciousness of I is covered by them. I say I am injured, I cannot be injured. I is consciousness, which can never be injured, which has no material to get injured. But my body gets injured, and I say I am injured. Not only that, I call this body as myself. I cannot be the body. I am consciousness. Body is matter. There is no connection. They are opposite to each other like light and darkness. And yet, by my natural behavior, I show that I am the body or my body or I body or anything. My father. How is my father? His body is the father of my body. He is not my father. Remember, he is not my father. He has not given me birth. He has not given birth to this I consciousness. My mother has not given birth to this I consciousness. Father and mother together have given birth to the body. And body is not I. But I call body as I. I call body as mine. And I call my father and my mother and my son and my daughter. And through physical and mental relation, my wife, my husband, my brother, my sister. Is this not the natural behavior? And is this not the most illogical thing happening? There is absolutely no logical possibility of body being I, father being mine, mother being mine, brother being mine, wife being mine, Just like my table, can there be my body? Then why I feel injured? Why I feel I'm sick? But I feel is a fact, natural fact. So the behavior showing some natural fact is totally opposite to any logic in the world. Any logical system cannot change I, the consciousness, into my body, the matter. My body is the matter and its characteristics. What are the characteristics? My body is perishable. My body becomes fat. My body becomes lean. My body goes on changing. My body perishes. And I feel I am becoming old. I am going to die. I am becoming lean. I am becoming fat. I am growing in height. This is natural behavior. The fact of the natural behavior is I feel like this, but no logic can support this. I am consciousness. Consciousness has no dimension. Consciousness has no growth or decay. If it is not matter, how can it grow? How can it decay? It is pure consciousness. But the fact of life is that I feel, not that I grow. I feel I grow. That means my feeling, my awareness of myself has become covered by my awareness of my body. And my awareness of the body, how it is I or my? Body is matter. But my consciousness of I has covered the body also. And so body has become mine. Body's characteristics have overpowered me. So I feel I shall die, or I am growing old or lean or fat. And the very fact that I call this body as I or my show that the consciousness of I or my, the subject, the knower, has covered my consciousness of the body. So it has become my body or I body. So the first sentences show the fact of life are totally, absolutely illogical. And yet it is there. No, it cannot be denied. They are the fact of life. So our life is based upon an illogical contradiction. Some more points there. Tathapi anya anyasmin anya atmakatam. Anya anyasmin anya atmakatam. Anya means consciousness. Anya means body. Anyatmakatam, myself becoming the body. My body becoming myself. Anya dharma and my characteristics of being absolutely changeless, deathless, is covered by my consciousness of the characteristics of the body, which is ever changing and going to die. How it is happening? Itara aviveke. No. I am not able to see clearly. My consciousness, I, real nature of I, and body, the separateness I am not seeing. The distinction or the separateness between I, the consciousness, and body, the matter, I am not able to perceive. I am not able to perceive the separation or distinction between I, the consciousness, and body, the matter. Atyanta viktayoho, though they are totally separate, though they are not connected at all, though there is no relation of connection between them. Atyanta viktayo, they are absolutely separate. Consciousness and matter have no joining points even. Absolutely separate they are. And yet I am not able to distinguish between the two. Dharma dharmino, true about my nature and body's nature, and true about my characteristics and body's characteristics. Mithya jnana nimitta. So what is the reason? Wrong knowledge, wrong awareness, wrong consciousness. Wrong consciousness or wrong knowledge is the only reason due to which this is the fact of mix-up, fact of this becoming that, that becoming this, fact of its characteristics being interchanged. Satya Andrute Mithuni Krutya. Due to this wrong or false knowledge, something is real, I, and the body being perishable is unreal. But I am mixing them up. I am coupling them up. Mithuni Krutya, totally joining, coupling. Amidam, mamedam iti, I body, my relations, iti naisargiko ayam loka vyavahara. The people's behavior is very natural like this. Natural behavior based upon non-discrimination, which is based upon wrong knowledge, which is based upon a khichdi, a coupling of real and unreal. That is the statement of act. And so it can be called as illogical or it can be called as self-contradictory. My life, the fact of my life, the natural fact of my life can be called self-contradictory. That is my whole life. My whole life. We have never seen it in this light. And that is why first the statement of truth. I means consciousness, the knower. You means matter, the known. Their nature cannot be interchanged. Their characteristics cannot be interchanged by any logic whatsoever is the truth. And statement of fact that continuously that is being coupled, the real and the unreal are being coupled. It is a wrong knowledge. It is a false knowledge. And that is the natural behavior of everybody in the world. Because it is the behavior of everybody, it does not become true. Because it is the natural behavior, it does not become true. See the logic. See the reality. And the reality shows that though it is everybody's experience, it is not true. It is based upon self-contradiction. The whole world, the relation of the whole world with each other, relation with the whole world with their own bodies and minds is totally unreal, false, based upon the wrong knowledge, based upon the wrong awareness. This one has to be absolutely clear. And that is why this Adhyasavacha is the most important portion. We must know what is our disease. Then only we can seek the cure and get the cure. We must know what is this Bhavaroga. What is the disease which has engulfed us in this life, practical life, everyday natural practical life, how it is based upon total contradiction. One should be very clear about it. Otherwise, 1,000 times, let us read this and understand. Let us read this and follow. Let us read this and feel accordingly. Till we feel this, there is no use in reading further the Chatusutri or any Sutri. The whole Chatusutri, whole Brahma Sutra, the whole Sharirika Mimamsa Shastra is based upon this basic awareness of our natural life, which is self-contradictory. This very thing Swami Vivekananda has taken up and shown in hundreds of, at least scores of our dealings in life. Two illustrations which I took last time. That mother loves the child very naturally, very naturally. She is the mother, very naturally. No, she is the mother of what? That body. And the son becomes a blackguard and he kicks the mother. And she says, I have to love him. I am the mother. And people praise it as unselfish love. Is it unselfish love? Can she dissociate from loving him? No. Some chemistry has bound her. Unless she feels I am the matter, unless she feels he or she is the matter, which is totally contradictory. She could not have felt my child. She could not have felt that natural love for the child. Natural. Nobody denies that it is natural. And yet it is self-contradictory. Second example we took was about the reason. People die, they fight each other for being rational. Reason can work only upon the data collected. And we are collecting data through our 5 sense organs only. And reason based upon that can never find the reality. Reality is not this matter which is being pursued by the 5 senses. Reality is nature is consciousness. And reason has no go into consciousness. Except to accept defeat, that I cannot have anything to do with the consciousness. I tell you, the word modern science has become very old. So people call, scientists themselves call today's science as post-modern science. And in the modern science, there was no place for consciousness, absolutely. They took consciousness as a reaction of the combination of matter. How? The postmodern science says there seems to be, there is probably something called consciousness and we have to study it. And how we can study? It as an object. Our scientific study of anything means the study of an object. The study of our mind is like study of an object. It may be valid up to that point. But study of consciousness, can it be studied as an object? It is the eternal subject. How the reason can reach there? What is the work of reason? If there is some mistake, reason can point out this is the mistake. But what is the truth? Wow, how reason has no scope there? It has to work upon only data related to matter or subtler matter. It can at the most indicate that it is beyond me. And so I use the sentence which my Guru used to utter many times. The highest intelligence is that which understands the limitations of intelligence. But the natural fact is we do not understand. We go on fighting with each other, find whether it is rational or not. Reason can never be the ultimate guide of anything because it has no scope into the field of consciousness. Consciousness is not an object to be studied by reason. Vedas know this. Mundaka Upanishad knows this. So it tells us that to know ourselves, it is a different type of knowledge, not based upon the reason. Our direct experience has to change. Our direct experience today is only of matter and energy, and at the most of subtler matter. Our awareness about our own real nature has a very different material, field. And so, that is a very different knowledge. The very nature of that knowledge is totally different from the knowledge which we have today. Today's knowledge is a subject knowing the object. And to know the subject itself, it cannot be made an object to know. So that knowledge is of a different type. But rationalist, so-called rationalist, surface scientists, as Swamiji calls them, struggle and die in trying to prove everything through reason. So the whole life self-contradictory. In so many other situations, we read Swami Vivekananda's 3 chapters on Maya in his book of Jnana Yoga. In all the 3 chapters, he has shown several examples how our life, facts of our life, are based upon contradiction. So that is the first 2 sentences. Now we proceed. Ka ayam adhyasa nama iti. So the inquirer is asking, means a questioner is asking, Ka ayam adhyasa nama? Nama means, what is this definition of, or what is this adhyasa which you are telling? What is this superimposition? How can we understand there is superimposition? Iti. Iti means full stop, question mark. Ka ayam adhyasa iti. So you want to understand this superimposition critically. That is the first step. First step is to critically understand superimposition, that how it is based only on false knowledge, how it is based only on contradiction. That has to be clearly understood, felt, and then only the seeking for knowledge will come. The seeking for real knowledge will come, or seeking the knowledge of truth will come, so that we'll get rid of our disease, which is contradiction. Uchyate, so it's being told. Remember, this is not definition of superimposition. Anything defined means lost. Anything defined means caught in the web of logic. So definition we want, definition cannot be exact of anything in this world. So what it is? Trying to teach us to experience it. Vedas or Shankaracharya or Swami Vivekananda, they are trying to experience the thing in its real nature, and that experience is so different from our today's experience that gradually, step by step only, it can be taught. So this first thing, which is statement of some Shankaracharya, is not to be taken as a definition of Adhyasa. Adhyasa can never be defined fully, but it can be step by step felt or understood. Uchyate smriti rupa paratra purvadrishta avabhasa. Avabhas. Avabhas means an appearance. Adhyasa is an appearance. Adhyasa is not something real. Purvadrishta. We have seen something somewhere. In our example, we have seen the rope somewhere, snake somewhere. Paratra, in front of us there is rope. On that we are applying Smriti Rupa. Smriti Rupa means not memory. Smriti Rupa means of the type of memory. Of the type of memory. Something like memory. This one should clearly understand. Because if there is a memory of the snake, what will be that memory? In the forest I had seen the snake. In front of me, in that semi-darkness, there is a rope lying. I don't have memory to have seen snake there. I have a memory of the snake elsewhere. I have memory of the snake elsewhere. And I'm seeing that snake there. Paratra Purvadrishta Adhyasa. Paratra means in front of me. Purvadrishta means I have seen it somewhere. And like memory, because memory would have told me I have seen this snake there. A nacre is seen as silver. I have seen silver anywhere. I have not seen silver there on the bank of an ocean. Their nacre is there. But somewhere I had seen that silver. The memory like of that silver comes on that nacre. So this is the first explanation of Adhyasa. What is this Adhyasa? The first explanation is that it is something like memory of something seen somewhere coming upon something in front of us. What is in front of us? Everywhere, Brahman. Our memory of the world. We shall see that gradually. Now, in attempt to explain this, every Indian philosophy tries. Every Indian philosophy knows to some extent that there is some mistake. But they want to explain. Once you explain the mistake, it is no mistake. Once you understand such and such thing has happened, then the reality will shine. So Vedanta never tries to explain. Vedanta tells that this is unexplainable. This can't explain means put in logic. It is not possible. We have seen that logically it is impossible. So the seeking for explanation itself is Maya. Seeking for explanation itself is the contradiction. Seeking explanation of something which cannot be explained. Seeking the explanation of something which is not logical is itself illogical. But we do not understand this fact. And so, different philosophers, fertile heads, fertile brains, they try to put some explanation on this. And let us see what are the explanations. Tam kechit anyatra anya dharma adhyasa iti vadanti. They say that padartha, no thing has been superimposed upon the other thing, but the characteristics of that thing are superimposed. The characteristics of the body are being superimposed upon Atman. The characteristics of Atman are being superimposed on the body. Not that Atman is being superimposed, not that body is being superimposed. So partial explanation. But how it is superimposed, that you can also not tell. After all, it's a superimposition. So this partial, when they explain this, now they understand we have explained everything. It's only the characteristics have been superimposed. That is how some people feel it. And Shankaracharya will not contradict any of them, huh? Because that is a partial explanation. Kechit to yatra yat adhyasa tad viveka agraha nibandhana brahma. Some people say don't bring any other thing. We see yatra yat adhyasa, that means on the rope the snake is superimposed. So look at this snake and we do not understand it. Look at the rope and we do not understand it is rope. So a Brahma, a delusion, an illusion takes place that it is snake. How the snake comes, we do not know. So explanation becomes partial only. Some people say that we are sick. We need not go into which philosopher says this and that philosopher, then only more terms will gather. So what are the different ideas coming to explain that? Let us see. So we say that it is not connected with something else, not connected with silver, connected only with the knacker. And we do not understand the knacker. And so, Viveka Agraha means not catching the real nature of that. Nibandhana, due to that, Brahma, some illusion has taken place. Illusion means a mental idea. Mental idea of silver or whatever it may be has come because we are not able to perceive that knacker. अन्य तु यत्र यत् अध्यासा तस्यैव विपरीत धर्मत्व कल्पनाम् आचक्षते इति. The characteristics, we are seeing something, but the characteristics have changed in our mind. The characteristics have changed in our mind. We are seeing nacre, but the characteristics of silver are being felt there. Nothing to do with actual silver. Only it is dharmatva kalpanam, viparita dharmatva kalpanam aspectate. Viparita dharmatva, nacre's characteristics are different and very different opposite characteristics are being imagined. We understood three partial explanations that some people say only the characteristics are being superimposed. The things are separate always. Snake and rope are always separate. We see the characteristics of the snake on the rope. And so we say it is a snake. Some people say we do not see the rope. And so some idea comes in our mind. The third opinion says we are seeing something, but its characteristics get reversed in our brain. How we do not know. So all three people do not know, but they partially explain. And when they explain, they said the real way about it. Now, without contradicting any of them, Shankar gives now better explanation. Better explanation. Sarvata apitu anyasya anya dharma avabhasatam na vyabhicharati. Avabhasatam, appearance. Not real, but appearance. Na vyabhicharati. That means not changed, not contradicted. None of you have contradicted something being seen which is not there. Something being seen, whether characteristics or that thing or this thing, something is being seen by you which is not there. That is not changed. That is not changed. So whether it is Purvatra, Paratra, and characteristics or the thing or illusion or idea in the mind, whatever it may be, we do not contradict what you are telling. Maybe idea of your mind, maybe whatever, but is it not a fact that you are perceiving something which is not there? Sarvatha apitu, in whatever way you can explain, anyasya anya dharma avavasatam, the characteristics of a different thing are being pursued, which is not there. The characteristics of a different thing are being pursued upon that thing, na vyabhicharati. This you are not contradicting. We have taken the illustration beforehand. Now Shankar gives two illustrations. Tathacha loke anubhava. People's experience in this world. Shuktikahi rajatavat avabhasate. Nacre appears as silver, appears as, without getting changed, without getting affected. I'll add one more thing. Desert appears as water without being moist, without changing its characteristics. It appears as a different thing. Eka Chandra Sadvityevad iti. Another illustration important. The reality, because finally you will show the reality is one without a second. And we are seeking it as divided. So there is one moon. And when a person has cataract, he sees two moons. Not that one real and one apparent. You know, when we see any object, we are seeing two objects by our two lenses. But the two images by our two lenses. And the images coalesce, they are on the same point. So we see one. It is one. But to see, two images are formed in our two eyes. And the focus is such that they coalesce. And so we see one. When there is cataract in one eye, it does not coincide. And it is two. My Guruji used to tell me when he was getting operated for cataract, Swami Bhaumanandaji was standing near him. And he is seeing two Bhaumanandas. Whether you are to the right or to the left. He may be in the front, but he is seeing either right or left. So, something which is not there is being seen. The characteristics of something which are not there are being seen. This is not contradictory in any explanation whatsoever. So this we should remember. Now so many doubts will come in this explanation. And that Shankar will remove one by one, very clear. Let us proceed a little. Katham puna pratyek atmani avishaye adhyasa vishaya tad dharmana. Sarva hi purva avasthite vishaye विषय अंतरम अत्यस्ति युष्मत् प्रत्यय अपेतस्य च प्रत्यक आत्मनो अविषयत्वं ब्रवीषि. Shall we take it up next time? The doubt is Pratyak Atmani. That means our real nature is inside us. Our real nature is inside us. Avishaya, it is not an object. And you say that objects like body are being superimposed upon that. The characteristics of the body are being superimposed upon Atman. How is it possible? Because the general rule, he feels, the general rule is that up till now you have example, rope and snake and nacre and silver and two moons and desert and water. Everywhere there was a thing outside. And in that place, some other thing outside was being seen. We can understand superimposition by something outside being superimposed upon something outside. How can something outside be superimposed on something inside? How can the object be superimposed upon the subject? That is the thing. There is no how. It is a fact of life. But the possibility has to be shown. The possibility has to be shown how the superimposition takes place. Uchyate, he explains. Na tavad ayam ekantena avishaya. Your real nature is not totally non-object. Totally non-object means it was told in the beginning that when you utter the word I, in that consciousness something shines. So it is an object. It is an object not outside, but within that consciousness this is shining. So it is not a totally non-object. It is not an object outside, but within the consciousness of I, it shines. Atmat pratyay vishayatva. Yes, it is the object of the very consciousness of I. Object means within that it shines. Within that it is revealed. Aparokshatvacha pratyak atma prasiddhe. I will tell this and we'll repeat on the next time, please. Oh, some difficult words are coming. Better take it up next time. Huh? Better take it up on next time. Several doubts will come. Now let me refer to something else here. One sadhaka known to me in meditation approached Holy Mother Sarda Devi recently, not more than 10 years back. In meditation, somebody approached Sarda Devi and asked her, Mother, will you explain to me what is this superimposition? Her reply was, whole world is the superimposition. Whole world is the superimposition. That means Atman alone is real, nothing else is real. The whole world is a superimposition upon Atman. The sadhaka asked, please explain a little more about this superimposition. He said, that which is superimposed is not to be thought of. That which is superimposed, the world, is not to be thought of. Only the adhishthana has to be thought of. Only the Brahman on which it is superimposed. You should think of the nature of that Brahman only. I am telling you an incident which happened actually about maybe 10 or 15 years back. A sadhak approached Holy Mother, asked her, please tell me what is superimposition. She said, the whole world is superimposition. Please tell me a little more about superimposition. She said that the thing superimposed should never be thought of. One should think only of the base on which it is being superimposed. And that base being Brahman or Atman or God, whatever you like to call it, think of that. Don't think of the world which is superimposed. That was the reply, practical reply. Because people die. I will tell one more story to end today. There were two good sadhus living in a temple in Kerala. I heard this story from a Kerala Swami. Both were very holy sadhus. Both were being respected by people. Both appeared to be very pure. but there was a difference. One of them was always joyful and free. The other one appeared to be worried and used to utter also, can't understand. I can't understand. One day, suddenly he appeared to be very happy and free. Oh, I have understood. I have understood. So all the people felt very curious. What was worrying this man and what he has understood now? So the other sadhu, representing all the people, went to him and said, "You are so pure and holy. What was worrying you?" He said that to understand the nature of God is very easy. Having read one or two books and thought myself, it is very easy to understand the nature of God. But in me there was a thought that I should understand the nature of the world also in which we live. And that reading through hundreds of books and thinking in hundreds of ways, I could not find what is the nature of this world. Then the other became still more curious. So you have found it today? You said you understood. He said, yes, I have understood that the world is not to be understood. I have understood today that the world is not to be understood. And that is what the Holy Mother told in simple words. Don't think of the thing which is superimposed. Think of the base. This sadhu, after struggle, finds out that there is no explanation for things happening in the world. All explanations will be very partial because it is not logical at all, because the world is self-contradictory. And so it is difficult to digest, but because man is so much addicted to reason and logic, he feels, I shall find everything. I shall find everything. And the science is providing me better and better explanations every day. You know, better and better. Some theory is brought. After some years, that theory is discarded and he has made a big breakthrough. After some years, that theory is discarded, he has made a still big breakthrough. So science proceeds and recedes and proceeds and recedes. It cannot explain. But these two, the story of the two sadhus and story of Holy Mother tells us the world is not to be understood. The world is not a matter which can be rationally explained. Brahman can be easily understood. And if we understand the real nature of Brahman or our own reality, Atman, then all the problems become solved by knowing that it is only a superimposition. And for that, Shankaracharya tells us, all the Vedantas will help you. All the Vedantas are meant for this fact, how to drive out your superimposition, how to know that this is a superimposition, how to know your real nature. And from that your real nature, everything is very easy to be explained, not from the nature of the world. So, the desire for knowing our own real nature, Shariraka Mimamsa, is being produced in this Adhyasa Bhashya. Adhyasa Bhashya, Shankar is telling that this cannot be understood. But it is a superimposition. There is no impossibility in superimposition that he is telling. One by one points of doubt will be cleared by him in the next class. Om Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavantau Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpana.